Welcome to the latest episode of Inside Pima County with Supervisor Rex Scott. I am Supervisor Rex Scott, and we are here with the very dedicated and energetic Director of our Office of Community and Workforce Development, Dan Sullivan. Dan, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here, Supervisor Scott. Thank you so much.
You bet. Our pleasure. Our pleasure. We always like to start by asking our program or department director guests to give us some sense of their professional journey.
Sure.
And not only how long they've been in this position, but what were the experiences they had that led them to this position.
Sure. So I'm a lifelong Tucsonan. My mother is actually a Tucsonan too, so I'm one of those rare folks. I'm a graduate of the University of Arizona with a double degree in political science and journalism. I practiced journalism for, I'd say, milliseconds before journalism in this country ended. Then I transitioned into doing campaign work. I did field work, fundraising, communications for a number of campaigns. But the majority of my career before Pima County was spent as a lobbyist for trade unions. So primarily in the building trade, so I did lobbying and strategic communications on their behalf. And I always wanted to come and work for the county because I always saw the county as the Ivy League of government. And my time here has proven that to be true. I'm actually a second generation Pima County employee. My father worked here, worked in the department that now I have the honor to lead.
Wow.
So, Pima County put food on my table growing up, and now doing the work that I do, which I love doing on a daily basis. It gives me an opportunity to raise my family as well. But I've been with Pima County for just a little under 10 years. I started off in our home services division, where I was there for 3 years or so. And then I transitioned over to running both our homeless services division, our adult workforce development program, and our dislocated worker program. And then I've been the director of Pima County Community Workforce Development for a little over 5 years.
You mentioned your father. There is a facility and a program that bears his name. Share that with our
Yes, absolutely. So it's the Pima County Sullivan Jackson Employment Center, which is a program that's down in South Tucson, a program that my father started in the 1980s to deal with the first wave of homelessness. And they thought that they were going to solve homelessness in a couple of years. It would all be over. Just stand it up. And that turned out to not be true. But that program is still there. He put his heart and soul into that program, making it so that people experiencing homelessness had a place in Pima County where they could feel dignity and they could feel the pride of work and get the resources that they need. And it was really the only program of its kind in the community beyond the Salvation Army or Gospel Restoration. So Pima County really has a history of leading the way in solving homelessness. And the board that we have now is I see, a continuation of the work that my father worked on now. And he would be absolutely proud and thrilled with the resources and the attention that we have on homelessness and the leadership from the board now. When I first started in homeless services over at Sullivan Jackson, the board generally knew we existed, and they were supportive and wonderful folks. But really, the transition over the last 6 years to see the resources, the time and energy put behind it, has been a dream come true. Specifically with the everything that we've done with the Housing Commission, the funds that we have to keep people housed and build more, is stuff that my father probably dreamed of, I dreamed of, and we are just going to continue to innovate our way into a solution that can be scalable, that can be dignified, that it meets the Pima County needs. So again, that's where my passion lies.
Clearly, and in paying tribute to your dad and giving that background information, you nicely set the stage for this question, which is give our listeners and viewers a broad overview of the scope and responsibilities of the work in your department.
Absolutely. And, I have to make notes of that because at times I forget all of it because it is a fairly broad department, and just trivia, actually right before the new board, it was two departments. So it used to be a community service, employment training, and community, community and neighborhood conservation. We merged, which I think was a great strategic move by the county administrator because people didn't know where to go. But really at the core, the largest program that we have is a portfolio of workforce programs, and that include the Kino One Stop, our dislocated worker program, our youth programs, which I'll talk a little bit more about. We have a robust rent and utility assistance program out of El Baco, Ultimate Community Action Agency. We run outside agency, which is the board's program to give very needed funds out to nonprofits in the community. Our PEEPS program, which we're very proud of, which has been on this show and really is a game changer that we're going to see the returns for decades. It just couldn't be more proud of that program. Another new program is the Office of Emergency Eviction Legal Service, EELS, which is a combination of both rent utility assistance and legal support, which you are an early proponent of that program, which has just morphed into something that is a nationally award-winning program under Angie Flagg's leadership. Now I have to go and look and make sure I'm not forgetting. But as we talked about, we have a homeless services division, which includes housing programs, employment services, navigation, and just the housing support, and employment resources for people experiencing homelessness. Through the EELS program, we have a bridge housing program, which we call the Craycroft, where we took a motel in partnership with the city of Tucson and turned it into a bridge program where people who are being evicted by the constables, instead of just going to the street, specifically families, have a place to go directly. And it's not just a place to go, it's a place to go, stabilize, and then get into permanent housing. We are, and I would say this is for the whole enterprise. We are the home of the Prosperity Initiative. Our business as an enterprise at Community Workforce Development is prosperity. It is our mission is to bring prosperity to this community. We have the Housing Commission, which is doing such, work that again I could have never imagined us being able to do of building affordable housing and putting gap resources out there, and also rent and utility assistance, rapid rehousing, short-term housing for people experiencing homelessness. We have navigators out there so that our services aren't located just in one place, that we go to where people are. I would be very remiss if I didn't talk about our youth program. So our youth programs, again, we have the youth center, which is located on Irvington, which, on an annual basis, they're seeing 6,000 kids. They're touching the lives of 6,000 kids, kids who have been turned away by society, but the youth center is a place of welcoming and hearts and understanding to get young folks into careers where they're not just getting by, they're thriving. So as part of the youth portfolio, we also have Las Artes, which began as and is still a GED program, but is also a program for young folks in the community to work on our projects. But we've transitioned it to also include the MC3 program, which is a pre-apprenticeship program for young folks 18 to 24 to pass the pre-apprenticeship program. And once they pass that program, they get put into the front of the line to most union building trade unions in the community. I think I hit everything. I may have been
the only things that and because our office engages with you and your team a lot, I was thinking about two areas of focus: home repair and weatherization.
Home repair, yeah, I missed that one.
And then also your oversight of the federal community development block grant program.
Yeah, I wrote it really small. So yeah, indeed, home repair.
I can attest to.
Yeah, home repair is a life or death program. So our home repair folks go out there, when it's cold, when it's hot, and replace ACs for people who are low income, predominantly living in manufactured housing. Those who are elderly, And without that program and the partners, Chirpa, also the City of Tucson's program, the mortality rates in our community, especially during summer heat, would be, I don't even want to imagine what it would be. So it really is a life-saving program. Our folks put, just everything into it to make sure that folks have a dignified, safe, livable place to live. And our community development block grant, which, it should have been front of my mind because that was at the Board of Supervisors at our last meeting on Tuesday. It's a program from HUD that comes down directly to us, and it funds things like a community project, a playground. That it funds social programs, and it funds grading order. So every year we go through a con plan, as we call it, and give out about $3 million to nonprofits in the community. And it's also where we fund up our internal home care program.
So you hit me with some data right before we went on air that I'm still just astounded by, which is that the One Stop gets 500,000 contacts a year on average. Let's talk some about the work of the One Stop and the people in the community that its efforts serve.
Sure. So, primarily what we're seeing right now is a need for rent and utilities. If we were to tally up all of those calls, I would say half to 60% of them are folks seeking rent and utility assistance.
Okay.
And in the past, it has been, we have not had near enough resources, except during the time of ERAP.
Sure.
I don't want to be, I always come off as the historian of all the programs we did, but that was a time where we put out $77 million
during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, indeed, $77 million. But we have not only rent and utility
and ERAP is Emergency Rental Assistance Program.
I need to learn how to remember not to talk like a bureaucrat.
Well, trust me, as someone who comes out of the K-12 world, I've had to learn that myself. But go ahead.
So our community action agency takes folks, and we have a number of funding sources that can pay for utilities or for rent. But the good thing about our community action agency, they lead with heart and urgency. And if somebody comes in for just utility, they make sure that they are eligible for every program that we offer, including workforce. So again, in the past, things were separate. The work that we're doing is bringing everything together as possible. Because if you imagine, those who are on the worst day of their life, they're losing their homes, they may be experiencing homelessness. Specifically, they just lost their job. It's the worst day of their lives. And we see that on a daily basis. And time is the most valuable thing that they have. And having somebody be there on the schedule that they're on and meet them where they're at is the most important thing that we can do as an organization, and having our organizational culture. Because, if we come in and somebody just lost their job and say, okay, come back in a week, what does that do for anybody? If somebody says, I'm going to be evicted, and we say, all right, well, we'll set up an appointment for you in 4 weeks, somebody's going to become evicted. So, we have a spirit of heart and urgency. That is our term motto. But again, we're dealing with complex federal programs, and also more increasingly very wonderful locally funded programs that we prefer. But we're dealing with complex federal programs, and it's our job to make that process of getting into those programs easy as possible, while maintaining compliance with the federal programs that we deal with. So again, it is a lot of programs, and we try to make that easy for people, as easy as for people as we possibly.
To that point, Dan, with regard to wanting people to be able to know the services and supports that they're eligible
Mm-hmm.
for, that the county is able to provide to them, the navigator model
Mm-hmm.
really started in your department, but you've seen it adopted by other departments around the county with that philosophy of not only, as you said, heart and urgency, but also that there's no wrong door that you can go through in terms of getting support from the county. Talk about how the whole navigator concept came together.
Indeed, and I'm very proud, and if I can give a shout out to Marhaba and to Rhonda, who run our navigator program. It really is. You didn't want the Pima County One Stop to be inedited, as I said before. Time and resources for people who are. I won't repeat it, but we wanted to go where people are instead of having people come to where we are. So Rhonda and I and Marhaba came up with a pilot program with the Sahuarita Food Bank, and it was just perfect, absolutely perfect. And it is because of, and I'll do a shout out to Carlos if I may, from the Sahuarita Food Bank, because they just opened up to open on, and we just got Marhaba down there and said, Marhaba, figure out how to make things easier for people to get it.
And they even stepped up to help their counterparts on the other side of the county in Marana.
They absolutely did. They are always stepping up, and they are just a wonderful program, wonderful agency that we're proud to do with. And Marhaba just figured it out. She said, with that very loose parameters of make it easy for people geographically, all the other barriers to get into our services holistically, everything that they need, not just work, not just rent utility systems. So that's evolved both programmatically and geographically. So we are all over the county, every north, east, south, west. They're constantly going all over the place. They are constantly doing job fairs. And one of the things that I'm very proud of, instead of having a navigator navigate somebody to an appointment, they can do an intake for a lot of our programs right then and there for someone. So, say, I was a navigator and you were a person I met and you were a good candidate for our workforce program, instead of saying, Rex, I'm going to make an appointment for you over at the Northwest Service Center next week. I'll just do the intake right then. Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. And so we've talked a bit about the one stop, about the roles of the navigators. You alluded earlier to the fact that your department really is the staff support for the Regional Affordable Housing Commission. Talk a little bit about their work and also how they have made use of a board-approved study by consultants that help to set the roadmap for our regional affordable housing strategy.
Indeed, so I think the error that a lot of places do, as we look around, they'll set money aside and not study and see, and that you were a big proponent of that, and I thank you for that. So we use Eco Northwest to make sure that we're doing this in a data-informed way, and in a holistic way. And also, it's not just Pima County. We are the leaders, but it's not just Pima.
Absolutely.
And also, ensuring that it's not just going off brick and mortar, which is important, but also going directly to program. So, I wish I'd written this down, but just in the 3 to 4 years that we've had it, multiple thousands of units that we can put our names to, and, we talk about programs being complex for individuals. Federal programs are also very complex for developers. So to develop a affordable housing project and I'm going to forget what LIHTC stands for, low income housing tax credit. There you go. But if I'm wrong, somebody can.
And no, I think you're spot on, and there are both federal and state tax credits.
Yeah. So to get that, developers need to get something from Pot A, usually LIHTC, Pot C, Pot D, Pot E. What are really the value add and really how we get projects going is being that gap, being that last source to get those projects across the finish line. And again, without those, without the funding for gap funding, again, those 3,000 or 4,000 units would not be available. So the problem that we are seeing or people are hurting would be even worse. And the place where I'm incredibly proud, so we have 2 buckets that we bring to the commission every year as a staff recommendation. This year, I believe it's $8.75 million that is in the tentative budget for the Housing Commission as to which bucket we're going to put it into, either the build more or keep people housed. And to talk a little bit about keep people housed, that's where we're doing some of the really cutting edge work. Where this year we set aside $2 million for rent and utility assistance. We started putting those funds out in October, and I believe as of last week we have completely obligated those. But we're lucky, we have other funds from the EELS that is going to hopefully keep us going through the rest of the fiscal year. Rapid rehousing, which is another component that we are using. If we were to start a brand new program, go through the motions with HUD, you know this very well, so I won't bore everybody with it. You've heard me on my soapbox talking about federal continuum of care programs. If it were one of those programs, we'd probably be getting started right now.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in the program, we have about 35 households being served, which is, incredibly astounding. I've never seen a program get up and running that quickly and have that much success rate, and how it contributes to the broader community. It does it in a very simple but yet complex way. A way that is sort of a no-brainer, I think, to you and I, which is let's get people out of shelters, put them into units, stabilize them there, and then there's more units, more beds in shelter or bridge housing to get people going. So there's a system, But again, these funds operate outside of the traditional HUD coordinated entry. So again, we've been able to move very fast and provide wraparound. HUD in their continuum of care program will pay for rent, do everything, but we'll pay for somebody's bed.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine being you've been experiencing homelessness for a long time. You get a home, and you move in, and it's just full wall. That's not dignity to me. That's not dignity to them. With this program, and actually our HUD programs, we use general funds. Thank you from the board to provide that dignity and that sense of home for folks. And on the home repair side, again, they have gone out there just at lightning paces and have already spent down. And again, it's getting hotter out there, so the 18 units, the weatherization they've done is going to save lives this summer.
You mentioned earlier at the beginning, actually, of our conversation, Dan, the fact that workforce development is such a big area of focus for your department. Talk about how you work with our local workforce investment board and how our efforts are aligned with both state and federal priorities with workforce investment.
They do. So, workforce. So we are governed by the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which is money for workforce development. It comes directly by formula from the Department of Labor to the state of Arizona, and it's the Workforce Arizona Council put the formula together. They send it down to us. The Workforce Investment Board is made up of local business leaders, labor leaders in the community who really know what's going on in the community, know what sectors are happening, what's happening with economic development, where we should be investing our resources to really hit our goal and businesses' goal. Our goal as Pima County One Stop is to help the individual and the business. We want to get people into quality jobs, and they want quality employees. So it really is the confluence of how do we find how do we find the right match of good jobs, good industries, good employers to work with. And they are an advisory committee to the Board of Supervisors. You see that we do a plan every 5 years and an annual plan. And really what we're focusing on now and what we're moving away from is jobs that aren't just self-sustaining, that are what we think of as the American dream. That's really what I want to push for. So we're pushing apprenticeships, because apprenticeships are proven ways of getting people into the middle class. And, I just love the model of earning while you learn, so
hands-on learning.
Hands-on learning. And a story I love, at our Las Artes program, we had a young man, 20 years old, I believe, who got into the elevator unit. And I think his first year, he made $126,000. Wow. First year apprentice. And that's not all the trades. and work goes up and down. But again, it's matching folks to those type of careers. And so we're seeing construction. And what I'm really happy to report is, my generation, perhaps Gen X, we didn't want to work with our hands. But, this generation coming up, they really want to get out there and heat. And they see the value of an apprenticeship program in construction. So that's everything we're doing in construction. Healthcare is big. So we're getting folks into healthcare programs, as a RN. That pathway of going from a CNA to an LPN to an RN, really, again, is a pathway to the middle class, of thriving, not just surviving.
There's a big CNA program through the local Joint Technological and Education.
Indeed. Yeah, who we partner with. And we partner with every, primarily with JTED and Pima Community College, but we partner with pretty much all the training providers that we can. But really, our job and the LIV's job is to ensure that we have a qualified workforce and that we're bringing people up out of poverty and not just continuing the cycle of poverty where people have to work multiple jobs to piece together a subsistence living, but can live in dignity, can save for emergencies, can take the family perhaps on a vacation, once a year. The American dream that I still believe.
You mentioned earlier, Dan, that you wanted to circle back to youth programs.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know if you wanted to work the early education program scholarships into that, but feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the PIECE program, which again, we have you to thank for that, and episode 1 of this series.
That's right.
And if I can give a shout out to Nicole and to Rhonda, who do a wonderful job. Just the dividends that program is going to pay for this community, and the vision that the board has to see that, and it being one of the. Was it the first policy? It was the first policy. Did EELS come first, or did PIECS come first?
I think PIECS. I think PIECS came before the emergency eviction legal services, and it was something that the late supervisor Elias had talked about, but he was the only supervisor who was talking about reducing barriers to access to high quality early childhood education. But then in the 2020 election, when I was elected and Supervisors Grijalva and Hines were elected, we became a pro early education majority on the board, and it was one of the first policies that we put in place.
And again, it shows how avant-garde our board is, and it goes back to what I said earlier of feeling that the Pima County really is the Ivy League of government. I work with lots of government, and not to put any of them down, but it just makes me proud to be a Pima County employee every day, that we're doing cutting edge things like this. And again, when that program came out, just personally, I had a preschool age son. So being able to, and
you knew what you were paying.
And I know what I knew. Yes, and I'm happy that he is a happy first grader these days. I live a very comfortable life, and it is expensive. It is expensive, and turning that almost into a right of privilege, which I believe it should be. Is just one of the wisest moves, and we just have wonderful staff who run the program, expand it. And my favorite thing to do is just go to those, go with Nicole and visit those preschools, and just imagine what could have been, what. You're seeing the wonderful thing, but without without that action from the board of supervisors, all those kids who wouldn't have that leg up. And I'm preaching to the choir here that early childhood education just puts everybody on a pathway to success. So it is something that I'm just proud to be part of. It is something that is a priority in our department, and we will continue to do our very best with that to get as many kids as we can. That's been and it's being a universal right for young people to get that leg up.
Well, I appreciate that passion and that commitment, and I know my colleagues on the board do as well. And we now have support also from Supervisors Allen and Kano. What about older kids? Where's your department? We talked about apprenticeships, but what are some other youth services that
Sure.
you're really proud of?
So, I am, we have, and I can say this without it being hyperbole, the best workforce system, that's a workforce system this side of the Mississippi, just because I haven't investigated the other side of the Mississippi. And really leading that charge is our youth side. They are innovating on a daily basis. We have summer youth that is kicking off right now, which, I began my journey into the world of work 14 years old with Pima County, working on the road crew. So I guess that was my first time at Pima County that I left off. But they are taking young folks, who have had a hard time, who society hasn't, treated that. They may have barriers, they may have criminal records, but they have created a warm and welcoming space at the new space at Irvington, where PDHS is to be located. And that was a wise move on their choice because they're going to where their population is at. And again, that goes back to our culture of going to where our people are at and making it, our customers are at, make it easier for them. So if somebody walks in to the Pima County Youth Center on Irvington, they get seen by a case manager instant. And they get sent on a customized journey, be it into the trades, into healthcare, into logistics, into IT. But that in a trauma-informed way, in a way that helps young folks. So it is the best. I've seen many youth centers. Some local areas don't even have dedicated youth centers, so they are doing cutting edge work again with our principal belief of heart and urgency for young folks and doing what is best for them and sticking with them. So it's not just getting them into a training program and saying, all right, we've succeeded. That's step one. It is ensuring that they succeed in that program, that they have all the wraparound services, that he or she or they has all the wraparound services as they're going through a training program, and that they, once completed, have everything that they need to live a self-sustainable, dignified American dream life.
Dan, we have covered a lot of ground, but I don't know that we have touched on everything that your department does. What's something that we haven't talked about that's a focus of the work in community and workforce development that you wanted to share with our listeners and viewers?
Well, Supervisor, I thank you for that question very much. So I'm very proud and excited to have a grant from the Garcia Family Foundation, which the board saw, I believe, a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And it's $2 million. And if I may give a shout out to my very good friend, Jen Darwin, who has been just an advocate of this program. And it's going to be studied by the Southern Arizona Institute. I think I always left that line, but from the University of Arizona. Keep Family is going to study. So it is right now. If somebody is looking for running utility assistance, the volume is just, like I said, it is up to 60% of our volume.
Wow.
So we are going to bring on 8 individuals to bring out, what we saw work during the emergency eviction, the ERAP, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, where we transitioned it from an online portal into a call center. So we went from having a long wait list to being able to see somebody immediately. So, we're in the process of designing that. And really, the idea is people are in crisis. They need to talk to somebody now. They need to get rent paid now. They need to be diverted either to the Community Action Agency and have their rent and utility assistance paid there, or if they're facing eviction, get in front of an EELS navigator and get connected with a lawyer as quick as possible. So I am really excited to bring that model up to learn how we can improve it and how we can scale that model and how it can inform the rest of the work that we do throughout the department to make it, again, eventually easier across the board to get into our programs and pieces. So,
I wanted to end on this note, and maybe you could use this observation to talk about your approach to leadership. Throughout this interview, you have acknowledged the work of your colleagues more than once. And that's something that I notice, Dan, anytime we sit down with you and your team in one of our quarterly meetings that you have with the District 1 staff, which is that you are continually honoring and recognizing the work of your staff. That strikes me as central to your approach to leadership. Is it? And,
Yes,
and if so, why?
I think it is. It's an organization is only as good as its people, and we have the best folks in this work. And I can say that again without hyperbole. I am. Can I say I'd rather be lucky than good. you know the deputy directors that I work with, Andy Flagg, Rhonda Pena, Terry Galligan. Just wonderful people. And my leadership style is you're only as strong as your weakest connection. So, with those three, we work so closely that it's like a partnership, and my job, I see as a leader, is to let people who are experts in that field do what they do, and for me to be their advocate, and for me to ensure that they have the resources they have, and to listen to them and bring them resources and to build them up, And, the thing that I love about working at Pima County One Stop is the way that we promote internally. We have folks who are program managers now who started off at a front desk, So really, it's key to me to spot talent, which we have in spades, and to foster that talent and make sure that we have a leadership pipeline so everybody is constantly moving up, learning new tasks, and really just utilizing their skills to the best of their.
Well, as somebody who, as you said, heads up a department that often deals with people at some of the worst moments of their lives, I think we're very fortunate to have someone who has such a caring and humanistic approach to leadership heading up the department.
Well, thank you very much, and may I say thank you to you and to the entire board. It is not hyperbole when I say dreams have come true. The programs that we're doing with American Utilities is stuff that I'm grateful every day that I come to work. I'm proud to be a Pima County employee. It's just I couldn't be a happier, more thankful person. And it's hard work, but it's fulfilling work, and I love it every single day. And the people who work at the department, I'm lucky to be around people who feel the exact same.
Well, we're grateful to have you in that role, Dan, and thankful to you for being part of this podcast today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It was my great pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. All right. And thank all of you for tuning in or listening.